Welcome, everyone. Today we're tackling some truly mind-bending concepts about the nature of reality, illusion, and the absolute truth. I'll be your guide for this explainer as we decode a profoundly deep lecture by Rasamirta Swami. We're going to unpack his brilliant breakdown of the Srimad Bhagavatam, specifically Canto 8, Chapter 3, Text 18. Just for some context, he delivered this amazing talk on December 20th, 2012 at Bhaktivedanta Manor in London, England. All right, let's dive right in. Here's our roadmap for today. 1. Gajendra's ultimate surrender. 2. The paradox of form. 3. Spell of three modes. 4. The supreme magician. 5. Escaping the illusion. And finally, 6. Summary and final thoughts. Section 1. Gajendra's ultimate surrender. Picture this. Gajendra the elephant is caught in an incredibly fierce, literal life-or-death struggle. He's tried absolutely everything to save himself, relying purely on his own immense physical strength, but it's just not working. Finding himself totally unable to win, he realizes he needs an ultimate resort. So he takes refuge in the Supreme Lord, crying out for protection, using these prayers he somehow remembers from a previous life. And, as Rasamirta Swami points out in his lecture, Gajendra addresses the Lord using infinite names. Why? Well, because the Lord's attributes and qualities are infinite. The specific verse we're looking at today highlights one incredibly important aspect of the Supreme Controller. So Gajendra calls the Lord Guṇasara-varjita. This Sanskrit term literally translates to uncontaminated or unaffected by the three modes of material nature. The crucial takeaway here is this. Even when the Supreme Personality of Godhead enters into our material world, even when he appears right here among us, he remains completely unaffected by the restrictive rules of this material nature. He never ever gets tangled up in the web. Section 2. The paradox of form. You know, there are two massive mistakes we humans generally make when we try to comprehend the absolute truth. On one hand, we sometimes wrongly elevate an ordinary, flawed human being and think, oh, they must be God. But on the flip side, when God actually does descend and mingles within human society, people often look at him and think, oh, he's just an ordinary person. Or worse, we get so wrapped up in our own logic that we assume God can't possibly have a personality or a form at all, basically reducing him to just a formless light or a mindless force. But I just love how Rasamirta Swami counters this. People will argue, well, God is unlimited, so how can he be restricted to a specific form or personality? The Swami takes that exact argument and flips it completely upside down. He explains that because God is unlimited, he literally must possess a supreme transcendental personality and form. Think about it. If you say God cannot have a form or cannot have beauty, you're actually limiting him. God is the sum total of everything. Since we see both form and formlessness in this universe, the supreme cause has to encompass both. So yes, he has an unlimited, formless aspect, but ultimately, he is the supreme transcendental person. So why do we constantly project our own human limitations onto him? Rasamirta Swami gives this highly relatable, kind of funny analogy that just hits the nail on the head. Imagine a guy who's heavily intoxicated. Under the spell of all that alcohol, he's acting weird, slurring his words, speaking nonsense. But in his deluded state, he looks around at all the totally sober people in the room and thinks they are the ones who are drunk. He genuinely believes he's the only sober one there. In the exact same way, we conditioned souls are under the intoxicating spell of material nature. Because we are trapped in the clutches of nature, we incorrectly look at Krishna and just assume he must be trapped by those same rules too. Section 3. Spell of three modes. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explicitly states that this entire universe is under the spell of three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Passion brings all that pride and endless desire. Ignorance brings inertia and degradation. But here is the most shocking part I took away from this lecture. Even people situated in the mode of goodness, the ones characterized by really righteous behavior and deep intellect, cannot fully grasp the Lord's transcendental personhood on their own. Sure, they might understand the difference between matter and spirit, but without divine mercy, their concept of the absolute truth usually gets stuck at that impersonal, formless level. Section 4. The Supreme Magician. You can think of the creation, maintenance, and destruction of this entire universe as a cosmic pastime, basically like a grand magic show performed by the Supreme Lord. Rasamirta Swami shared this wonderful childhood anecdote about watching the famous illusionist P.C. Sorcar. Sorcar would do these astonishing things. He'd cut a lady in half, bewilder the whole audience, and then seamlessly put her back together. He even had this famous illusion where he made the entire Taj Mahal seemingly vanish into thin air. Well, Srila Prabhupada once watched Sarkar perform and was happily entertained, but afterward, Prabhupada asked him the ultimate question. You've performed many wonderful magical tricks, but can you do the magic of making the cycle of birth and death disappear? Sarkar humbly admitted, no, Swamiji, that magic only you can do. Because at the end of the day, human magic is entirely trivial compared to the magic of the cosmos.
And this perfectly illustrates the immense, baffling power of illusion. The Swami shared a story from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura about a magician who went before a king. Right in front of the king's eyes, this magician made gold coins and precious jewels completely vanish. Then, dramatically stating he was fed up with life, the magician sat down, burst into flames, and disappeared in a puff of smoke. The king was absolutely distraught. But a couple of days later, the magician's daughter casually strolls into the court carrying all the missing jewels. She cheerfully tells the bewildered king, "My father sends his regards, he's alive and well at home." The point here is huge. If a mere human magician using basic sleight of hand can so completely bewilder a powerful king, imagine the bewildering power of the Supreme Lord.
Krishna is known as Yogeshwara, which means the master of all mystic perfections. When you realize he's the supreme magician, it's not surprising at all that his magic keeps us conditioned souls totally bewildered. People can't recognize him, even when he is standing right in front of their faces. Think of Duryodhana from the Mahabharata. He literally saw Krishna displaying his terrifying, magnificent universal form, and he was still totally unattracted. His hatred was just so deep, completely fueled by the modes of passion and ignorance, that he stubbornly refused to surrender. Section 5. Escaping the Illusion. Now, Krishna doesn't sugarcoat the situation for us. He states very clearly in the Bhagavad Gita, Mama Maya Dorataya. This divine energy of his, this illusory potency we call Maya, is incredibly difficult to overcome. It's so formidable that even highly advanced transcendentalists can fall right back into its clutches if they try to rely purely on their own strength. You really can't fight Maya directly. It's practically impossible. So, what's the solution? Rasamirta Swami uses a brilliant analogy here. Imagine you want to visit a friend's house, but when you get to the front gate, there are these huge, terrifying guard dogs barking aggressively at you. If you try to fight those dogs yourself, you're going to get mauled. They're just way too strong. So what do you naturally do? You pull out your phone and call the owner of the house, your friend. The owner steps outside, looks at the fierce dogs, and simply says, "Sit." Immediately, the dogs quiet down, and you walk right through the front door, totally safe. Maya is exactly like those guard dogs. She's Krishna's direct divine potency, guarding the material world. Try to conquer her on your own, and you'll get mauled. We have to appeal to her master. Taking shelter of literally anything other than the Supreme Lord is completely futile. The Bhagavatam points out that trying to cross the ocean of material existence by relying on demigods or material powers is like trying to swim across a massive raging ocean by holding onto the tail of a dog. It's completely absurd. Instead, think of this material world like a jail. You can sit there and beg the prison warden to let you out, but the warden is bound by duty. They can't just let you go. But if the president or the king directly orders that warden to release you, the warden happily complies. Maya is the warden, Krishna is the king. When we surrender to Krishna, he just instructs Maya, his eternal servant, to release his devotee. It's that simple. Section 6. Summary and Final Thoughts. The entire end goal of Gajendra's desperate prayers, and honestly the goal for anyone seeking the real truth, is to become what's known as a muktatma. A muktatma is a truly liberated soul. It's a person who is completely freed from the intoxicating spell of those three modes of material nature. It's someone who can constantly, with deep faith, think of Krishna, fully recognizing him as the ultimate possessor of all opulence, the supreme controller, and the grand master of this whole cosmic magic show. If there is only one single thing you take away from this explainer today, let it be this. Surrendering to the master of Maya is the absolute one and only way to break the spell of the three modes of material nature. We can't outsmart the illusion on our own. We can't muscle our way past the cosmic guard dogs. We just have to humbly take shelter of the source of everything, the one who encompasses both the formless infinite and the ultimate beautiful transcendental form. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought to really chew on today. Take a look at your own life and your own daily struggles. Are you exhausted from trying to fight the guard dogs of illusion entirely on your own strength? Or are you finally ready to just call the owner? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you next time.